are the realities that happen in Indonesia. I'd like to share it in like two levels, two big levels. The first one, policy levels, and the second one is grassroots level. Now let's talk about the first one, policy level. If we talk about freedom of religion in Indonesia, of course there has been many contradictions happening in the country. Of course, if you see a government statement, for example, just this year, early of this year, last January, President Jokowi stated that everyone rights to freedom of religion and belief is respected. I think he was responding that to the incident in West Sumatra, where I think students are obliged to wear hijab. So he released a statement that, so Indonesia is a country where we respect freedom of religion. The thing is, realities on the ground, it's just not like that. I believe you have Googled our joint ministerial decree year 2006, where if you want to build or establish a house of worship, for example, you still need to gather like permits from local residents. You need to at least having minimum like 19 followers, and then you need to seek approval from local neighborhood. So that's the first contradictories. Government say nice statements in the media, saying that they protect the freedom of religion, but what's happening in reality, in the ground, no. The regulation didn't say like that. The second one, of course, we do have regulation that contradict the freedom of religions guaranteed in the international human rights law, for example. That decree is one of the examples. We also have regulations on hate speech. Let me give you example from the case of EIT law. Those who are accused of intriguing, like hate speech, they will be charged with Article 28, and now in the current draft, it's 28A. So even though the latest penal code, they already revoked the article on blasphemy, for example, but we still have, like a loophole in the other laws. So of course we have protection somehow in certain law, but in the other law somehow it's still there. So I remember when I sat in a discussion, Indonesia has so many laws. Oftenly the laws are contradictory. One law is protecting our rights, but the other laws negating our rights. So, but that's the reality. And talking about the policy level, my colleague Shera and also Mas Alex have explained how regional regulations or local regulations, they play a significant role. Regions in West Sumatra, regions in West Java, or regions in other parts of Indonesia, they try to apply regulations that make you wearing of hijab mandatory. Of course, that's not right, definitely, and that's not the definition of freedom of religion. And next is the government itself. They have like disobedience toward the judge ruling. If we look at the case of GKI Yasmin, for example, the Yasmin Church, the Constitutional Court have actually released a verdict that led them to continue building the house of worship. But the decision is the mayor of Bogor, they relocate, as Shara previously said. So this is what's really happening in Indonesia. The policies are not beneficial for minorities, that's for sure. And I think the policies tend to listen or not to tend to, go to the benefits of the minorities. That's on the policy level. The second one, the grassroots level. If I were asked, like, do you think Indonesian is tolerant? I would say yes, but they are so possessive. As long as it doesn't touch my family, my daughter, my son, my best friend, I won't dare to judge or even to bother. The simple example is the marriage of two religion believers, for example. Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but that's the reality. I can understand. I can respect that. But when it comes to my daughter, for example, when it comes to my son, oh no, that's a big no. Cannot be like that. So yeah, tolerant but very possessive. Or I can say that Indonesians are applying glorification of status quo because Muslims has been the majority since the country or this nation built. So let's just accept the fact. So any critics, any facts, or any questions, again, that status quo. Oh, so you're trying to destroy this country because we've been going in this harmony. So yeah, I second to what Shara said. The grassroots level, they like the idea of religious harmony, but that's on the surface. In the substance level, that's very disturbing, and we need to really, really criticize that, because let's talk about how Islam, Sunni Islam, becoming the majority, and they're trying to, apply what they believe, their value, against other minorities, for example, Ahmadiyya and also Shia, for example. So that kind of understanding, they like the status quo, and it's been there since decades. I think that's the situation in the grassroots level. And of course, if we're talking in this level, there's been illiteracy, or maybe they need to learn more about literacy on the freedom of religion and belief. One funny example is because of the Israel-Palestine conflict, of course, many Indonesians, specifically Muslims, really hate Jews, really hate, even they don't know the concept of Jews. But what they don't know is, of course, Jews, they were once a victim. So, I mean, like, if I can ask, so what is your real stance? Is that your religion value? Is that tolerance, respect for human rights? And I think it's based on the problem of literacy, because they don't know that other religions, other beliefs do exist in this world. And they can live and they have the same right. Last one, before I jump to conclusion. Yeah, there is a religious harmony happening in the grassroots level. Shara said is superficial peace. I said is a negative peace. Of course there is peace, but human rights are not guaranteed. And that's not our purpose for sure. And the conclusion is there any progress towards religion, freedom of religion? There is a slight progress. I mentioned earlier in the recent penal code, in the articles of 300, for example, there's no longer blasphemy, but there's still other problems. For example, in the article 302, they ban atheism. So everyone who's declaring atheism and then try to preach and they try to publicly declare that they are atheists, they might be charged. And atheists, yes. So there is a slight progress, very slight, I must say. And of course, there is a respect for freedom of religions, but with many conditions. Many conditions. So I think let's discuss from there. And I'll, give it back to